everyone. I am Matpe Gonzalez, and I'm here to discuss the inclusion style in teaching physical education.
Inclusion in education is an approach to ensure all students with impairment are catered for within a physical education setting. The outcomes and progression of learning should be equivalent to the experience of able-bodied peers. Inclusive physical education requires the educator to modify or adapt lessons to immerse all students within the learning experience regardless of ability. What is inclusion style in physical education? The inclusion style is characterized by letting learners with varying levels of skill to participate in the same task. In order to do so, each task is designed with multiple levels of difficulty and letting the learners to select an adequately challenging task to practice. This allows the learners to start from a level they are comfortable with before moving on to more challenging ones. Here, the teacher is responsible for making all of the decisions before the lesson. The subject matter, criteria, level of difficulty, logistics, and etc. They must also ensure that each student has a valid entry point to start practicing the task. The learners, on the other hand, are responsible for comparing all of the tasks and selecting one that suits their skill level. After doing so, they practice the task and compare their performance against the criteria provided by the teacher. There are 7 different aspects of inclusion teaching style. 1. Individual and personal performance differences. 2. Amplitude performance in the same task. 3. Self-selection of start point. 4. Possibility of changing decisions. 5. Efficient use of time. Learners are active all the time. 6. Self-assessment. The students see the level of their performance based on perceived ability. 7. Allow success of all learners. The example of inclusion teaching style is the Himkana. Physical activity with 3 different stages with 2 different levels of performance. In each one, the student can choose whatever they want. In this activity, the students will develop different basic abilities such as balance, self-body control, and motor skills. In the first, the student can choose between walking over a bench or they can walk over a rope on the floor. In the second stage, the 2 options are drawing themselves under a mat tunnel or through hoops. In the third and final activity, the students may choose small jumping or going under a rope, which is set in different heights. The game is called a slanting rope. The 3 framework is an effective and great tool for all physical education teachers. It is a simple yet effective model to help adapt and modify sport and physical activities to make them more inclusive. In a classroom scenario where the activity is basic skills in baseball catching, basic skills in basketball passing, or any physical activities, the teacher should be able to think of a method to include all students regardless of their ability and disability. The 3 framework. T. Teaching style. Use different methods to explain in demonstration, verbal, and hands-on. Letter R. Rules. Changing 1 or 2 rules to modify game but ensure it's still challenging for all. E. Equipment. Play around with different equipment both size and type. And letter E. Environment. Is the playing space suitable for all? Is the grass too thick for a wheelchair? Activity Inclusion Model. A practical activity-centered approach to the inclusion of all young people in physical education and school sport. The Activity Inclusion Model provides different methods of supporting inclusion by changing the way activities are delivered. This maximizes the potential of all young people involved. The model consists of 4 approaches to the delivery of physical activity and sport: open, modified, parallel, and specific activities. Open activities are simple, naturally inclusive activities that the entire group can do with little or modification. Example: warm-ups and cool-downs provide an ideal platform where everyone can play. Unstructured play, individual skill development, and continuous activities such as throwing and catching games where individual differences are not emphasized. Modified activities are when everyone does the same activity, but adaptations are made to support the inclusion or to challenge one or more members of the group. Modifications or adaptations can be applied to an activity to support young people to acquire or develop their skills, or for those who need to be challenged further. Activities can be modified by applying steps. Parallel activities are when the participants are grouped according to the ability in order to provide different entry points into the same activity. Example are when young people can be grouped in different versions of the same activity at a level appropriate to their ability, ensuring all young people are challenged. They can practice in group based on ability or explore ways of practicing different skills. Specific activities are either as an individual or a group. Particular pupils participates in a purposefully planned activity which focuses on the specific needs of those participants. This might be so, a pupil can work on individual skill development that will make later integration into the class more successful, or because they are training for a specific event or sport which might include a disability-specific activity. Within physical education, specific activity should not be the most common approach of the activity inclusion model and should only be used if you are not able to use an open, modified, or parallel activity. There are 4 factors which influence inclusion for each participant: ability, activity, impairment, and the setting. These factors will influence which activity inclusion model approach you use. The activity inclusion model should be considered in every lesson you teach. Remember, the model is not a series of progressions. At any stage in your lessons, you may move from one area of the model to another. There are 8 strategies to support inclusion. 1. Have a broad and balanced program that goes beyond sports. 2. Engage and respond to students' voice. 3. Carefully consider assessment using a range of approaches. 4. Embed indigenous perspectives and practices respectfully and with permission. 5. Engage in critical discussion. 6. Seek out opportunities to learn about promoting inclusion. 7. Audit your school, class space, and lesson using the 7 pillars of inclusion. The 7 pillars of inclusion. 1. Access. Can all learners access and feel welcome? 2. Attitude. What is your attitude towards diversity and inclusion? 3. Choice. Are there a range of ways to participate? 4. Partnerships. Who will work with you and who will support you? 5th. Communication. What methods of communications will you use? 6. Policy. How are you committed and responsible for inclusion? 7. Opportunities. Have you made practical changes so that all learners have equal opportunity to participate? Number 8. Offer at least 3 levels of challenge. Inclusion means that all children, regardless of ability or disability, have the right to be respected and appreciated as valuable members of the school's community, fully participate in all school activities, and interact with peers of all ability levels with opportunities to develop friendships. This is Raymar Kier Aral Gonzalez. Thank you for listening.